And welcome back to Who Would Win, and this is from Ghost the Reaper 98-6. Well, ask the question, who would win a fight, Deadpool or SCP-682? 682 has been on here once or twice before. Now, for those of you who aren't aware what the SCPs are, it is a fan-made community of essentially secure, contain, and protect, which means basically it's kind of like an X-Files, if you will. Basically, anomalies that are just odd and strange or possibly dangerous to humanity of supernatural or extraterrestrial, interdimensional, whatever nature. And people have added to it, created more throughout the years. And basically, it's just wacky creatures, items, things along those lines that can just do weird things. SCP-682 is obviously the 682nd cataloged one. They're all cataloged from like 001, which that one is technically up for debate what that one actually is. There's multiple stories behind that one. It went to almost like 6,000, I think. So there's a lot of them. And obviously we know who Deadpool is. He's a veteran of this at this point. So I mean, Deadpool kind of goes without saying. Master martial arts, mark in the mouth. Insane due to a mental illness and the experiments done on him. But the experiments done on him to cure his cancer, basically giving it a healing factor that he can heal through most anything, but it is tied a bit to his emotions. If he's feeling a bit down in the dumps, he can take longer to heal. But he can't really die unless you were to say incinerate him or vaporize him, reality or magic. It has to be through some other general means than just the average kind of just shoot him in the head, chop his head off, blow him up even. As long as his brain is more or less intact, that won't work. So he's a master martial arts, master assassin, marksman, swordsman, teleportation belt. If you want to get really meta, he's got an infinity stone that alters continuity, but we're not going to use that. Because that's not canon at all. We're not going to use that. It's dumb. Unless someone asks me to use the continuity stone at any point in a Deadpool versus, we're not using that. But Deadpool is Deadpool. He's going up against SCP-682, which is known as, oh god, I can never remember the actual name of it, but let me get the name up here really quick. Its actual name, its designation is where are you, 682? Hard to destroy reptile. It is essentially, and I'll read this from the site verbatim right now, a very large, vaguely reptilian creature of unknown origin. It appears to be extremely intelligent. It's capable of human speech and is observed to engage in complex communications with a different SCP-079 during their limited time exposure. It appears to have a hatred of all life, which has been expressed in several interviews during containment. Has always been observed to have extremely high strength, speed, reflexes, though the exact levels vary with its form. Its physical body grows and changes very quickly, growing or decreasing in size as it consumes or sheds materials. It gains energy from ingesting anything, be it organic or inorganic. Digestion seems to be aided by a set of filtering gills inside of its nostrils, which are able to remove unused matter from any liquid solution, enabling it to constantly regenerate from the acid it is contained in. Its regenerative capabilities are quite high, and its resilience are staggering, capable of basically surviving and even seen being moving and speaking when 87% is destroyed or rotted away. In cases of containment breach, it has been tracked and recaptured by all available mobile task force, with no teams fewer than 7 members declared to engage it. Now, there is one other thing we need to address here. It appears to now, after a certain amount of time, it appears to now be immune to a certain SCP that is being used against it. Use of this SCP is to terminate 682 must now be first tested on samples of it before full testing. In accordance with recommendations, has requested permission to attempt termination. It has also been suggested to use a different SCP for this. Now, I've had a lot of people say that this means that it basically is immune to whatever hurt it the first time. Like if something fails to kill it the first time, it's immune to that now. This is the official site. I've gone over the entire thing here. That there's that one thing where it's now immune to 409 is the only indication I can find that might be a plausible scenario. And if it is, we'll go with that. But if it's not, let's still go with the other thing at hand here, that it's still just hard to just kill this thing. By the by, this technically isn't what it really looks like. This is I think a pilot whale that was washed up on a beach years ago, and this is the picture they used to illustrate what this thing kind of looks like. I mean, granted, like the actual animation, drawn depictions of this SCP look vaguely similar to this. But, yeah, ultimately, this is the picture they go with. So, 1 second. Oh, pardon me, acid reflux. I finally got my meds on that, by the way. So hopefully that's going to finally curb itself out. This statement doesn't make any sense, but hopefully it's just gonna ride itself out and just finally dissipate. I already felt better taking I take it like twice a day. I already felt fine or better taking the first one. So yeah, hopefully after some time it'll finally dissipate. But yeah, Deadpool fighting SCP-682 if 682 is not able to be immune to whatever could kill it, or whatever tried to kill it. Look, Deadpool would do his best. He'd blow this guy up. He'd maybe even pull out a carbonadium sword, which does almost nullify healing factors. But unfortunately, I don't think he wouldn't be able to put down SCP-682 on the grounds that I think SCP-82's regeneration is a bit more impressive than Deadpool's. Because Deadpool, if you were to say incinerate 87% of his entire body, would not be able to grow back from that, would not be able to regenerate, would not be able to communicate. Oh, well, I guess it all depends on what percent of your head encompasses your body. Like, what percent of your body is your head? Because I'd have to believe my body, like my actual torso, my legs are at least 50% of my body, or close to it. My torso is probably a good 40% of my body, give or take. So that would theoretically, and that's including my arms and stuff like that. So that would make my head, roughly speaking, 10%, give or take, or that's rough estimates. So 10%. So yeah, Deadpool would barely be able to survive that, but he could survive that, hypothetically speaking. But the problem is SCP-682 has gone up against bullets, guns, blades, and they barely work at this point. They have to keep him in a freaking vat of corrosive acid just to keep him situated in the same spot so he doesn't go run amok. And he's escaped containment several times. He's one of the most notorious, probably the most notorious SCP that's known to people. Like, even people who aren't quite aware what SCP actually is and all the items that go through it. I haven't even gone through a quarter of what they actually offer on the site. Even if that is the case, people still seem to kind of know what this one is. And because of that, I think he's too much in terms of regenerative capabilities for Deadpool to handle, because Deadpool, again, could swipe at him with a carbonadium sword, but he'd have to swipe at him with his entire body, more or less. Because eventually, the Deadpool, unfortunately, is also a bit lax, and a bit careless, and a bit cocky. So eventually, SCP-682 is either going to take a bite out of him, or swipe him with his tail, knock him back, and then, maybe even eat the carbonadium sword, and then, process that, and there you go. Another problem is, the more that SCP-682 is eating, the bigger he's going to get. Which means Deadpool's actually going to have a serious problem after a while if he doesn't deal with it. Like, SCP, I think, at his smallest. What's the smallest I think we know him to be? Do we have, like, an actual... I don't think we have any recorded sizes. Theoretically speaking, there is no limitation how big it could get. In terms of his, I think his smallest, he might be like the size of a small crocodile, or like something along those lines, like something like 8 or 10 feet long. But then if he keeps eating and ingest stuff, he's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And Deadpool eventually can't do anything against that. He could blow him up, wouldn't matter. He could slice him up, wouldn't matter. Again, a carbonadium blade, maybe, but that's about it. That could that could near halt the regeneration process. But even then, all SCP-682's got to do is eat something and, ingest something, and there he's good to go. So that's without him being immune to whatever killed him. With him being immune to whatever attempted to kill him, Deadpool's got nothing. Deadpool's literally got nothing. Deadpool does not, again, take continuity stone out of the equation. Deadpool just isn't an individual who's equipped to handle something like that. He doesn't have superhuman abilities that enable him to affect bioorganic matter or, alter evolution or nullify powers, things like. He doesn't have those kind of abilities. He's just the guy with a healing factor and martial arts skills, pretty much, and weaponry. So Deadpool, I love Deadpool. You know I love Deadpool. I've reviewed both movies. I love both movies. Deadpool does not have this. To quote Roshi from Dragon Ball Z Abridged, I have many things. An island, a friend who was a turtle, chlamydia, this, I don't got. And he's like, yeah, and it's Deadpool, so he'd be more than willing to quote that. So yeah, ultimately, I gotta go with SCP-682 on this one. But let me know what you think ultimately. Do you think Deadpool could legitimately beat SCP-682? Now let me put it this way. If I were to give him the continuity stone, theoretically, yes, he could beat him with that because it alters continuity. It literally alters history. He could alter, in theory, the creation of this SCP in general, and there you go. So, yes, hypothetically speaking, if I gave him the continuity stone, he probably would beat him. But other than that, though, even like giving him a carbonadium blade, that's really just going to slow 682 down. It's not going to stop him. But again, what do you think? You think that Deadpool could pull out a win? And if so, how do you think he could do it? Or do you think it just goes to 682? Like, I pretty much think this one goes 100% to 682 because he could easily take a chomp out of Deadpool. I doubt cancerous tissue is anything of an issue for 682, minus the fact that he maybe won't like the taste of it. It's kind of like when Dracula tried to take a bite at. Was it Dracula or was it? I think it was just another vampire. There's a comic issue run where Deadpool had to rescue a demon, like a demon princess to marry to a vampire. I can't remember if it was actually Dracula. I think it was. And then he tries to take a bite out of Wade, and it's like, oh my god, you taste disgusting. It's like, yeah, he's pretty much a walking tumor, literally. So yeah. But anyway, until then, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. I got one to do, and I'll be done.